as I've mentioned, I'm really fascinated by the different hats that you are wearing in general as a writer, as a musician, as a businessman. How would you compare your mindset in these different avenues? I'll be interested to hear, like, is there a different approach that you undertake when it comes to expressing yourself into these different spheres, or is it?
I think when you write a song, it's a story.
Yeah.
What's the story about, And, that's kind of the simple thing. Hey, I wrote a song. Oh, really? What's it about? Yeah. And can you answer that? Can you, oh man, it's about this guy meets a girl and I fall in love, right? Or it's about this, whatever it may be, right? There's a guy at the bar and he's mean and he's angry and whatever the story is about, you should be able to kind of tell it in a couple of sentences. Yeah. They call it the 15-second elevator pitch, right? Yeah. You get on the fifth floor, you got 5 floors to give your pitch, and I think when you're writing a book, it's the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's a music business book I wrote, whether it's your own life story. Yeah. With my life story, my friend Joel MacGyver, thank God, wrote that with me because he knew how to sort of time capsule the chapters. Let's talk about when you were young. Okay, let's talk about when you moved to Hollywood. All right, let's talk about when you started Megadeth. All right, let's talk about, these different eras of my life. And so that helped me, and I've learned from all those experiences of just sort of how to compartmentalize things so that you can put it into chapters. And I also learned too, when you write a book, depending on the style of book, but a memoir for sure, it's nice that whenever you put it down, even if you walk away from it for a week, when you pick it back up, you can pick it up anywhere and start reading again. And David Lee Roth's book was like that. Ooh. He was so, when I had his book, I'd read a little bit. It was funny. I'm a huge Van Halen fan, and I put it down. A couple weeks, month later, I'd pick it back up, and whatever page, just pick a page, and you read it to go, oh my God, this guy, the stories. And I thought that was so cool to just be able to, because it's not a novel. It's not like you got to read it from beginning to end. So sometimes those books are fun where make it entertaining, so no matter where you put it down and pick it up from, the story just carries on.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Talking about books, I know you read a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
What would you say are the names and the authors or the books that you'd say have been significant for your development?
It's funny, those, I was a Dean Koontz fan by way of Nick Menza. And that's why it was very cool when Dean wrote our biography for the Euthanasia album. It was very cool. And I didn't get to talk to him. Dave talked to him. And I was like, man, I want to talk to him, because I'm such a fan of his. So that I read a lot of the Jack Reacher stuff, just stuff to kind of kill the time. But, things that just remove me from all of this reality. You know what I mean? Yeah, gotcha. So I'll read some of those things. There were some kind of self-help books, I guess that I was reading maybe, again, in my early sobriety in the early 90s. There's a Robert Heinlein book that I read called Farmer in the Sky, and that kind of influenced the Foreclosure of a Dream lyrics. Wow. I took a lot, from that story because having grown up on a farm and sort of this futuristic farming kind of mentality, so that was where some of the influence for those lyrics. So there's just a couple.
Wow, that's amazing. You've mentioned sports and coaches and stuff like that. Do you watch sports? Do you like sports?
I do. My son is a huge fan of all sports. I mean, He has got just this mind for this stuff, And in fact, when he meets you, he finds out where you're from, and then he's kind of, are you a college guy? Are you a pro guy? What's your sport? So I learned a lot from him because he's the keeper of the facts, with that kind of stuff. And I'm not a fan like he is. Mm-hmm. I'm a bit fair-weathered when it's like, World Cup or the Super Bowl or, some PGA tournament or something that's going on. I pay a little more attention just because I'm in my travels and I'm around the world. I'm not as synchronized to be able to watch every game. And I know some guys who, man, they are tied to Monday Night Football, whether they're in Argentina, they're in Germany, or they're in America. They are watching that no matter what. And I'm not that dedicated. But sports, look, being an athlete is no different than being a musician. On a professional level, it's entertainment. That's all it really is. It's entertainment. They play sports, we play music, but when you're on that stage, you're on that field, you're on that basketball court, you're an entertainer, right? Absolutely. dazzle the crowd. You know, I mean, it really is. It's about dazzle the crowd. That's what the owner's paying you for.
Yeah.
You know, just like the promoter, they're paying you to dazzle the crowd, man.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's no different than Barnum and Bailey Circus. You know, whether you're walking a tightrope or breathing fire or whatever you're doing. You know, I mean, it's just that's what we do. You know?